Hello everyone. Today, I'll continue sharing the story about the single mother, Tiểu San. I hope you enjoy watching this video. That morning, the air was cool and crisp, with early autumn breezes rustling through the leaves. Tiểu San woke earlier than usual. She slipped on a thin sweater and carefully wrapped a few freshly baked mung bean cakes along with some banana cakes, Mrs. Thoa's favorite. She planned to visit Hai's mother, both to check on her health and to bring a small gift from the heart. Riding her old bicycle along the sunlit village road, Tiểu San felt an unusual lightness in her chest. Every visit to Mrs. Thoa's house gave her the warmth of coming home. The elderly woman was always gentle and kind, her voice soft and her manner motherly. As soon as Tiểu San stepped through the gate, Mrs. Thoa recognized her silhouette from afar and smiled kindly. "Heavens, San! You've come again? And brought gifts too? What a thoughtful girl you are." Tiểu San smiled and set the wrapped cakes on the table. "It's been a while since I last visited you, so I made a few cakes for you to try. The weather's getting colder, please keep yourself warm." They sat on the veranda, the breeze gently swaying the bamboo curtain while the scent of lotus tea drifted through the air. Mrs. Thoa poured tea and chatted, asking about the flower shop, the garden behind Tiểu San's house, and the orchids Hai had given her not long ago. Tiểu San answered softly, her tone light and cheerful. Yet from time to time, she brushed her hair aside, her eyes faintly tired. Mrs. Thoa noticed but didn't say a word, though unease stirred quietly in her heart. When she offered Tiểu San a bite of cake, the girl only managed a few small pieces before suddenly turning pale. She set down her teacup, her hand trembling slightly, and hurried outside as nausea overcame her. Startled, Mrs. Thoa rushed after her and supported her shoulders. "What's wrong, San? You look so pale. Have you not been sleeping enough lately?" Tiểu San tried to smile, forcing her voice steady. "I think I'm just a bit tired, Auntie, maybe because I skipped breakfast." But her voice was weak, her vision blurry. Mrs. Thoa helped her sit down and poured her a cup of ginger tea. After a while, Tiểu San said she would head home to rest. As her figure faded at the end of the narrow path, Mrs. Thoa stood still, uneasy. She sighed softly and murmured to herself, "That poor girl works too hard. If something happens to her, it would be such a pity." That evening, when Hai returned from work, Mrs. Thoa called him over, her tone gentle but serious. "Hai, listen to me. San came to visit today. She looked pale and sickly. Ate barely a thing before throwing up. You should take her to the doctor soon. I'm really worried." Hai froze, his expression darkening. He remembered how lately Tiểu San often said, "I'm just a little tired," or "It's nothing, just overworked." Every time he offered to take her for a checkup, she'd just smile it off. Now, hearing his mother's concern, his unease deepened. After a long pause, he nodded. "All right, Mom. I'll talk to her tomorrow." That night, Hai couldn't sleep. He kept recalling her gentle smiles, the look in her eyes when she handed him bouquets she had arranged herself. A strange fear crept into his chest, fear that something was truly wrong. Early the next morning, as the garden lights glowed dimly before dawn, Hai stood outside Tiểu San's gate with a basket of fruit and some vitamins his mother had packed. He knocked softly, his voice calm yet full of concern. "San, open the door. Let me take you for a checkup tomorrow. I can't stop worrying." Tiểu San stepped out, her face pale, hair loose around her shoulders. Surprise flickered in her eyes before softening. "You came here this early?" "I'm fine, really." Hai looked into her eyes, his tone gentle but firm. "I don't want to see you like this anymore. Even if it's just a cold, I need to be sure. I'll take the day off, We'll go early, alright? She hesitated, then nodded. Warmth and worry mingled in her heart. Outside, the wind rustled through the bougainvillea, pink petals drifting like silent witnesses to a quiet but steadfast love. Later that night, after she agreed to go, Hai lingered a little longer. Sitting on the porch, he watched the dew forming on the flowers, his thoughts tangled. Inside, Tieu San tidied up, her slender frame moving gently, almost afraid to disturb the stillness. His eyes wandered around the small home, every corner simple yet full of her presence. He smiled faintly, though concern shadowed his gaze. She had been smiling less lately, often holding her stomach or sitting silently in thought. When she went to the kitchen, her phone vibrated on the table. The screen lit up briefly. He was about to call her back to drink water when his eyes accidentally caught the notification. Earliest signs of pregnancy, what expectant mothers should know. Hai froze, his heartbeat quickening. His hand hovered midair. The screen dimmed, leaving only the warm glow of the lamp on his startled face. In an instant, everything began to make sense, her nausea, pallor, her aversion to food, and the way she sometimes held her abdomen without explanation. A wave of mixed emotions swept through him, surprise, worry, and a tender, quiet hope. But he said nothing. He knew that if she wasn't ready to speak, the best thing he could do was be gentle. When Tieu San returned with 2 glasses of water, he asked softly, "Is there something you're not telling me, San?" She froze, eyes flickering with hesitation before shaking her head with a faint smile. "No, really. I'm just a bit tired." Hai smiled, not pressing further. He simply held her hand. "Whatever it is, promise me you'll tell me. I don't want you to face things alone." She lowered her head, her hand trembling slightly in his. "Yes," she whispered, a single word, heavy with unspoken emotion. That night, back home, Hai couldn't sleep. He searched quietly on his phone, early signs of pregnancy, how to care for a newly pregnant woman. A tender warmth filled his heart, both anxious and hopeful. At dawn, he arrived even earlier than planned. With fruit, milk, and a small bouquet in hand, he stood at her door. "San," he said softly, "let's go to the doctor today. I have a feeling this is important." She hesitated, then nodded. Tears glistened faintly in her eyes. Perhaps she, too, knew it was time to face the truth. When morning broke, Hai drove her to the hospital. The air was thick with silence, neither spoke, their thoughts heavy. He occasionally glanced at her, pale and nervous, and reached out to squeeze her hand. "Don't worry. I'm here. Whatever it is, we'll face it together." At the hospital, he handled the paperwork while she was led into the ultrasound room. Waiting outside, he couldn't take his eyes off the closed door, his chest tight with worry. Inside, Tieu San lay still as the soft hum of the ultrasound filled the room. The doctor's face remained calm, his pen jotting down notes. Hai watched from beside her, hands clenched. Finally, the doctor turned to them. "At this stage, there's no gestational sac visible yet. It could mean the embryo hasn't implanted, or there may be a hormonal imbalance. We'll need to run blood tests for confirmation." Tieu San paled, her hands trembling. Anxiety filled the air. Outside, they waited in silence. Hai gently held her hand again. "Don't be afraid. Whatever it is, we'll handle it." An hour later, the nurse emerged with the results. Hai took the envelope, his heart pounding. The printed words were clear. Result, negative for HCG hormone. The doctor sighed softly. "She's not pregnant. However, Tieu San shows signs of hormonal imbalance, possibly early perimenopause caused by stress and malnutrition. She needs treatment soon to prevent long-term effects. Tieu San froze. The words struck like lightning. No, that can't be. I'm still young, she whispered. The doctor smiled kindly. It's treatable if caught early. Rest, eat well, and follow the treatment plan. Outside, she said nothing. The hallway breeze felt cold. Hai walked beside her, holding her hand tighter. No words could comfort her more than his presence. In the car, she turned toward the window, tears falling silently. I never thought I was sick. I thought I was just tired. Hai drew her into his arms, his voice steady and warm. It's okay. What matters is that we found out early. I'll stay by your side, take care of you, until you're well again. You're not alone, San. She nodded weakly, leaning into him. The late morning sunlight streamed through the car window, painting her weary face with a soft golden glow, fragile, yet full of quiet hope. Since the day she returned from the hospital, Tieu San seemed to have become a different person. She no longer talked much, nor did she smile as brightly as before. In the early mornings, instead of going out to water the garden, she would sit quietly on the porch, holding a cup of tea she could barely drink. Her mind was heavy, full of fear and sadness. The illness had struck like a sudden crack in the calm surface of her once peaceful life. Hai noticed the change. He didn't ask questions, he simply stayed by her side. Every morning, he came to take her to follow-up appointments. Every afternoon, he stopped by with warm meals, fresh vegetables, and vitamins. Then he would walk with her through the small garden, talking about random cheerful things, funny stories at work, or how his mother kept reminding him, "Take good care of that girl, San." One evening, as the sunset cast a golden glow over the garden, Hai set down a basket of fruit and saw Tieu San sitting curled up beneath the bougainvillea trellis, eyes red. He walked over quietly and sat beside her. "Crying again?" he asked softly. Tieu San lowered her head, her voice trembling. "I just feel guilty. Everyone's worrying about me, and I can't do anything. I'm scared I'll become a burden to you." Hai stayed silent for a moment, then gently took her hand. "Do you know why I'm here every day? Not because I pity you, but because I truly care. Illness can happen to anyone. What matters is that we face it together." She lifted her gaze, her eyes shimmered in the sunset light. "You're not afraid?" she whispered. "I might need long treatment. I may never be the same again." Hai smiled softly, his eyes warm and steady. "The only thing I'm afraid of is losing you. Everything else, I can wait." Those words made her tears flow again, but this time they were tears of relief. She leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling the quiet strength of the man who had stayed with her through her darkest days. After that, Hai cared for her like a devoted husband. He learned to cook oatmeal porridge, make wormwood soup, and prepare her medicine on time. Some days he even brought her a small bouquet, grinning as he said, "The doctor said happy people recover faster. These flowers are to make you smile every morning." Looking at the white roses, Tieu San felt a tender warmth bloom in her chest. She no longer hid from her illness. Each morning, she began to exercise, eat regularly, and, most importantly, believe in her recovery. Time passed, and her complexion slowly brightened. At every follow-up, the doctor praised her progress, and each time, Hai was there, taking careful notes like it was his life's greatest responsibility. One afternoon, after another checkup, Tieu San stepped out of the examination room holding her results. She smiled, her eyes shining. "The doctor said I'm getting better." Hai exhaled, smiling softly. "I told you so. You just have to keep going, everything will be fine." they walked out of the hospital together. The sky was a clear, endless blue, the breeze playing gently with strands of her hair. Tieu San lifted her face toward the sunlight, a faint smile curving her lips. In that moment, she realized, sometimes, a storm doesn't come to destroy, but to reveal who truly stays after the rain. After a few more days of treatment, her condition stabilized, and the doctor allowed her to rest at home. When she returned, the little house seemed brighter, the flower pots on the porch greener, gently swaying under the sunlight. News of her illness had spread, and everyone was concerned. That afternoon, Trang and a few close friends came to visit, bringing a basket of fruit and a pot of warm chicken porridge. As soon as she stepped inside, Trang exclaimed, "Heavens, when we heard you were in the hospital, we were so worried. Thank goodness you're better now, and still as pretty as ever." Tieu San laughed, her voice still weak but her eyes full of light. "Thank you, girls. You're making me emotional." Trang sat beside her, holding her hand. "San, don't overwork anymore. Health is everything, you know? Everyone cares about you, we were all so worried." A little later, Hai's mother came too, bringing a bag of oranges and a jar of wild honey. She sat by the bed, peeling an orange as she spoke gently. "Just focus on resting, dear. Every sickness passes eventually, as long as you stay optimistic. And don't worry, you have Hai to take care of you." At the mention of his name, Tieu San looked toward the doorway. Hai stood there, calm and kind as ever, his eyes filled with quiet affection. He had barely left her side these past few days, taking her to the doctor in the morning, cooking porridge at noon, and reading aloud by her bedside at night. Setting down her medicine, he said softly, "Take these and rest a bit. I'll make dinner." Trang teased with a grin. "Wow, look at you, being pampered like a queen. You're one lucky girl, Tieu San." The room filled with laughter, warm and bright. Tieu San smiled, her eyes glistening. It had been a long time since she'd felt so loved and cared for. Later that evening, after everyone had gone, she sat against her pillow, gazing out the window. The golden sunset streamed through the bougainvillea that Hai had watered that morning. She smiled quietly, a small, grateful smile. From the kitchen, Hai appeared with a bowl of steaming porridge, his voice as gentle as always. "Here, eat some. I added extra vegetables, just like the doctor said." She looked up at him, her voice trembling softly. "Thank you, Hai. I don't know what I'd do without you." He smiled and took her hand. "Silly girl. I just want you to get better. I'm not going anywhere, no matter what happens." Tieu San looked at him for a long moment, her heart swelling with emotion. She felt truly blessed, that even in life's stormiest days, someone had stayed. That warm, steady hands had pulled her back toward the light. From that day on, Tieu San was no longer as sad. She began eating well again, walking around the garden, and tending to her flowers. She knew she had to keep trying, not just for herself, but for Hai and for everyone who loved her. One bright morning, sunlight flooded the garden as she stood looking at the newly blooming flowers. A smile touched her lips as she whispered to herself, "No matter how hard life gets, as long as there is faith, and someone who stays beside you, every wound will heal eventually."
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày an lành và hạnh phúc. Mình hy vọng rằng những video của mình chia sẻ sẽ mang đến niềm vui cho mọi người mỗi khi xem. Hiện tại mình đang kể câu chuyện về người mẹ đơn thân Lý Tiểu San. Và video ngày hôm nay kể về sự biến cố của Tiểu San khi cô nghĩ mình đang có thai với Hải, nhưng cuối cùng đó lại là một căn bệnh kỳ lạ. Tiểu San đã phải điều trị trong thời gian dài Và trong quá trình điều trị thì Hải luôn bên cạnh vỗ về và an ủi Tiểu San. Và Tiểu San cũng nhận được sự yêu thương của mọi người sau khi cô rời bệnh viện. Tiếp theo, câu chuyện về Tiểu San sẽ như thế nào thì mời mọi người đón xem ở những video tiếp theo. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay và ủng hộ kênh của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong video lần sau nha.